Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. We are jumping right in today because we're about to completely shatter that simplistic grade school myth of the kink balloon lungs. We usually just think of our breathing as air going in and out of a couple of empty sacs. But the truth is far more complex. It's highly mechanical, and honestly, it is absolutely breathtaking. We're going to unpack the black box of human respiration and look at the real architecture and the incredible physics that are keeping you alive right this very second. But before we dive into the really deep end, I just need to give our standard medical disclaimer. This explainer is strictly for educational purposes, so please don't take it as medical advice. Also, a quick heads up to our focus learners, this is the advanced, highly technical breakdown of the respiratory system. We're going to be throwing around some complex terminology and looking at deep anatomical mechanics. If you're looking for a slightly more introductory overview, we actually posted a simpler version of this exact topic a few days back, so definitely feel free to check that one out first. All right, let's kick things off with a statement that might sound completely backwards to you. Your lungs do not pull air into your body. It's actually physically impossible for them to do so. Oh, and here's another mind-bending fact to completely reframe how you think about yourself. You are currently breathing using ancient repurposed fish bladders. Seriously. Stick with me, because the biological reality of how you draw your very next breath is just a masterpiece of evolutionary engineering. Okay, let's dive into this physically. The absolute biggest myth we need to dispel right now is that your lungs have muscles that actively suck air inside. In reality, your lungs are entirely lazy. They possess absolutely zero skeletal muscle, literally none. If you were to take them out of the body, they just passively recoil into a dense, spongy little pile on the table. They cannot inflate themselves. They're entirely passive, highly elastic structures, completely at the mercy of an external driver. So what is that external driver? Well, it's governed by strict physics, specifically Boyle's law. Breathing is a mechanical process driven entirely by pressure gradients. The atmospheric pressure around you is sitting at roughly 760 millimeters of mercury. Now, because you can't physically pull a gas, you can only create a space for it to flow into. So when your chest cavity expands, the internal volume goes up, which forces the intrapulmonary pressure inside your chest to drop below that 760 mark. The higher pressure of the outside atmosphere then literally shoves the air down into your airways to equalize the pressure. So what's actually changing that volume if it isn't the lungs? Meet your muscular engine. The prime mover here is your diaphragm, which is this dome-shaped muscle innervated by the phrenic nerve. When it contracts, it flattens and drops down, and simultaneously, your external intercostal muscles spring into action. They execute what anatomists call the bucket handle motion, which expands your lower ribs laterally, and the pump handle motion, which pushes your sternum forward. Together, they dramatically increase the internal volume of your thoracic cavity. Now, this brings us to a really brilliant piece of design, the pleural seal. If the lungs don't have muscle, how do they know to expand when the ribcage moves? It's best explained with the wet glass analogy. Imagine two panes of glass with a tiny drop of water between them. They slide past each other super smoothly, right? But try pulling them directly apart. You can't do it. The surface tension holds them incredibly tight. Well, your lungs are wrapped in a pleural membrane, separated from your chest wall by a microscopic layer of fluid. When your ribs pull out, that surface tension forces your passive lungs to stretch right along with them. As that air gets pushed in, it rushes down this intricate, asymmetrical biological tree. Notice I said asymmetrical. Your lungs are not identical twins. They are perfectly engineered to share the really tight real estate of your chest. The heavier right lung features three distinct lobes, separated by horizontal and oblique fissures. The left lung, on the other hand, is narrower, with only two lobes. Why? To make vital room for your heart through an indentation known as the cardiac notch. This branching tree eventually ends in the true workhorses of the lung, the alveoli. This is where the actual business of keeping you alive happens. You have between 300 and 500 million of these microscopic air sacs. To put that insane number into perspective, if you were to unfold their ultra-thin walls and lay them completely flat, you'd have about 70 square meters of surface area. That means you are carrying around a gas exchange surface roughly the size of a badminton court, folded up neatly right inside your chest. Let's look a little closer at the complex microenvironment here. This vast surface area is incredibly fragile, so it has to be heavily guarded. You've got specialized cells called type 2 pneumocytes continuously secreting surfactant. That's a substance that keeps the alveoli from collapsing under their own surface tension. Meanwhile, microscopic security guards called macrophages constantly patrol the area to consume invaders. And on top of that,
Millions of tiny cilia create what's known as a mucociliary escalator, literally sweeping trapped debris up and out of your airways 24/7. To truly appreciate this level of complex architecture, we have to look back at the bizarre evolutionary lineage of the lung. This system didn't just magically appear out of nowhere. It's the product of millions of years of biological hacking. It actually started as primitive gut outpocketings in early bony fish, basically just little balloons off the esophagus to gulp air in poor water conditions. Later on, amphibians used a buccal pumping method, gulping and physically forcing air down. Eventually, this hacked-together system evolved into the highly complex, negative-pressure mammalian lung we use today. But as advanced as we think we are, our system isn't exactly the pinnacle of efficiency. Humans utilize tidal breathing, meaning air flows in, stops, and flows back out the exact same tube. Because of this, we're constantly mixing highly oxygenated fresh air with stale, deoxygenated air left over in our lungs. Compare this to birds, who are the true high-performance athletes of respiration. They have rigid lungs with a unidirectional flow, allowing for continuous cross-current exchange where blood constantly meets fresh oxygen. It's a wildly superior design.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the connection to those early fish ancestors we talked about. In the lineage that led to modern fish, those gut pockets became swim bladders used for buoyancy. In the lineage that led to us, they became specialized for gas exchange. But because they always retain a residual volume of air, healthy human lungs are the only organs in the human body that will naturally float in water. We are literally carrying around modified ancient flotation devices.
All right, let's shift gears a bit. Section 1, the hidden blood factory. We're going to look at the systemic functions of your lungs. For decades, medical textbooks confidently taught that our bone marrow was the sole factory for blood cells. But recent, groundbreaking research utilizing green fluorescent protein imaging in live mice revealed something absolutely spectacular. The lungs act as a massive blood cell factory. They produce upwards of 10 million platelets per hour. That potentially accounts for half of your body's entire platelet supply, making your lungs a totally crucial player in blood clotting and healing. Furthermore, they play immense systemic regulatory roles that go way beyond breathing. The inner lining of your pulmonary blood vessels secretes ACE, angiotensin-converting enzyme, which is a major factor in controlling your whole body's blood pressure. Your lungs are also your body's fastest responders to pH changes in the blood, rapidly adjusting acidity by expelling carbon dioxide. They even act as a physical sieve, catching and filtering out small blood clots before they can reach the brain and cause a stroke. Moving on to Section 2, when the system fails. Let's understand the pathology and disease of this delicate system. Remember that vital pleural seal we talked about earlier with the wet glass? Well, if air somehow manages to get into that tiny pleural space, say from a chest wound or even a ruptured alveolus internally, that fluid suction is instantly broken. Because the lung has no internal structure to hold itself open, its natural elasticity takes over immediately, and the entire organ violently snaps back and collapses. This mechanical failure is called a pneumothorax, and it is a massive medical emergency. Beyond mechanical collapse, we also face structural degradation through obstructive diseases, things like COPD, emphysema, and asthma. In emphysema, for instance, inhaled toxins like cigarette smoke cause a severe imbalance. An enzyme called neutrophil elastase starts destroying the elastin in the alveolar walls faster than it can be protected. The lung basically loses its rubber band elasticity, trapping stale air inside and severely compromising that delicate badminton court-sized gas exchange surface we talked about. When these breakdowns occur, medical specialists rely on targeted diagnostics and therapies to fight back. They use pulmonary function tests, like spirometry, to measure exactly how much airflow is limited. High-resolution CT scans provide incredibly detailed imaging of structural damage to the bronchi and alveoli. And from a treatment perspective, one of the primary pharmacological interventions includes bronchodilators. These are delivered via inhalers or nebulizers to directly relax the constricted smooth muscles wrapped around those branching airways. So, the crucial point is, well, it brings us to our final section, 5 key scientific takeaways.
Let's recap this spectacular science. Number 1, asymmetrical architecture. Your lungs are a lopsided, dense, modular tree. They are not empty balloons. Number 2, pressure gradients. You do not suck air. Your diaphragm expands your chest and strict atmospheric physics pushes the air in. Number 3, extreme surface area. You have 70 square meters of ultra-thin, tightly regulated alveolar tissue packed in your chest. Number 4, evolutionary origins. We are quite literally breathing with modified fish gut bladders that still act as flotation devices. And number 5, the hidden factory. Your lungs don't just breathe, they're busy producing millions of blood platelets an hour and regulating your systemic blood pressure.
Which leaves us with a truly lingering, kind of mind-blowing thought. Right now, at this exact second, without a single conscious command from you, your phrenic nerve is firing, your diaphragm is dropping, physics is pushing air down an asymmetrical tree, and millions of blood cells are being manufactured. With millions of these automatic, mechanical miracles happening in your chest every minute of every single day, what other hidden universes are silently operating inside of you right now? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer today. Keep wondering, and I'll see you in the next one.